Which players have the best matchups in Week 7? Find out next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. Today is Friday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I am Frank Sample, joined by Scott White. Let's get into the schedule for next week. 8 teams have 7 games, 18 teams have 6 games, and 4 teams have 5 games next week. The Braves, the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and the Phillies. Let's get into two-star pitchers, Scott. Who are you looking to add and stream for next week?
Well, the only one I feel great about is Tanner Bibee, who I'm surprised is still as available as he is, given the way his first 2 starts have gone and the caliber of prospect he was, and the fact that one of his 2 matchups this week is against the Tigers, so you got to like that. My second choice among 2-start pitchers who are available in at least 20% of CBS Sports leagues is Andrew Heaney. I don't have a lot of confidence in Andrew Heaney, which kind of tells you where we are with the sleeper pitchers, the weekly sleeper pitchers. But if nothing else, Andrew Heaney is at Seattle. He's at Oakland. Those are 2 favorable matchups. And so if you're looking to maximize volume, not the worst play you could make. John Gray, his teammate, has those same matchups at Seattle, at Oakland. Again, hasn't shown a lot of consistency this year, but he is liable to give you a quality start, maybe even 2 in that 2-start week. And then much further down is Louis Varland, recent call-up for the Twins. He gets the Padres and the Cubs, so not the greatest matchups, but the 2 starts he's made in the majors so far, it's gotten a lot of swings and misses. There's a chance it could deliver you a nice strikeout total. You know, we're digging pretty deep here, but if you're into that sort of thing, Louis Varland is a name to consider. In fact, we're digging so deep that I have Brandon Pfaadt here as a possibility to pick up and start as well. Really scary after the way his major league debut went, but the matchups this week are nice against the Marlins and against the Giants. Also, Miles Mikolas. If you're just dead set on getting as much volume as you can, he's an option. Not so long ago, we had faith in him. At the Cubs, at the Red Sox, not the most attractive matchups, but we're at the bottom of the barrel here, so it's the best you can do.
And if you don't need volume, we do have a few single-start streamers who either have good matchups or good prospect pedigree, and you got 4 names on the list here, Scott.
Yeah, Bryce Miller. He gets the Tigers just like Tanner Bibee does, and it's a great matchup. We saw Miller dominate in his major league debut with against another weak lineup, the Athletics. But if he took care of them, you know, hopefully that fastball plays well up in the zone at the Tigers too. So Bryce Miller, feel good about that recommendation. And Drew Smyly, that one's, you know, I feel okay about that one too. He's at Minnesota, which we don't think of as being an easy matchup necessarily, but they do have the second lowest OPS against lefties. And Smyly, as you may know, is a lefty. Logan Allen of the Guardians, I'm mostly recommending him just because he's looked so good in his first 2 starts. He gets the Angels this week, not the easiest matchups, but he took care of the Red Sox last time out, which also isn't such an easy matchup. Reed Detmers at Cleveland. You know, he's been up and down this season. Cleveland's been struggling offensively. He at least has a lot of strikeout potential. So I prefer him to some of those 2-start options I mentioned, like Louis Varland, Brandon Pfaadt, and Miles Mikolas.
All right, let's slide over to the hitter matchups, the best hitter matchups for Week 7. The Pirates, the Brewers, White Sox, Guardians, and Giants. The worst hitter matchups, Blue Jays, Padres, Astros, Reds, and the Braves. With that being said, Scott, your favorite sleeper hitters for next week?
Again, I got 10 names here, but there are probably only 2 or 3 I feel great about. One of them is Jack Suwinski. Jack Suwinski, the data on him has been awesome this year. Seems to have power, speed, on base skills. Has cooled off, so he's still available enough to mention here. But the Pirates have the best matchups, as you said, and only one is against a lefty, which also works to Suwinski's advantage. My second favorite sleeper hitter for this week, and this kind of puts the whole sleeper hitter selection process into perspective. It's Jarren Duran, who's been great, of course, multi-hit games left and right, batting over 400 this year. But the Red Sox are one of those teams with only 5 games, so normally I wouldn't recommend a hitter from them among those who you could pick up off waivers. But Duran, I will. You mentioned the Giants have the 5th best matchups. They are also facing just two lefties actually, but in 7 games. So I think Lamont Wade, who's been hot, is a fine choice. Jock Peterson, you could use him in a 5 outfielder league. You could maybe use JD Davis as well. He's cooled off quite a bit, but the matchups, as I said, are favorable. Miguel Vargas seems to be heating up. Not a bad time to activate him. Brett Beatty, same thing, especially since the Mets have only 1 lefty on the schedule. And then a few guys here whose teams are playing 7 games. Harold Ramirez, Ezekiel Duran, Esteury Ruiz. They've all been producing of late and just on volume have a chance of making an impact this week.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.